Child labor is one of the most alarming problems in Africa. In Uganda, the problem is moved to adverse levels because of HIV and AIDS-related consequences. A number of children have become foster mothers and fathers as fate determines beyond their choice. HIV and AIDS has ravaged the middle-aged young parents and productive generations, leaving orphans to the grandmothers in their wee age of life. The orphans are usually left with little to sustain them in school and general welfare. The plight is worsened with the greedy relatives who portion the few resources left by the late parents. Orphans take the responsibility of their young siblings as well as their grandparents. Sometimes orphans are also loaded with the task to look after their ill mothers before the mothers succumb to the illness just like the father. They are left with no choice but find a way of survival. The misery starts from the day when the last parent is buried. Clan elders convene meetings to distribute the remaining property. Some purported younger foster relative is identified who later sell off or take over the property, especially land, for selfish gains, regardless of the orphan's interest. Helpless orphans are sometimes banished from their parents' homes, resorting to their grandparents' homes, while others end up on the streets. They start their cold mornings roaming around the village to look for any casual work to earn a living. The barefooted orphans are desperate to do any work regardless of the conditions. Those ready to offer something to do tend not to show any signs of sympathy, loading the children with lots of work but with less payment. Orphans in rural areas usually turn out to be gardeners with a price tag of a meal, animal caretakers, and potters, among others. Those who are able to dig their grandparents' land have to make sure they work tirelessly morning and evening to have enough food and sell a little to cater for necessities like paraffin, salt, medicine, and some school fees. In urban areas, they are taken up as house helpers, casual laborers, vendors, and some are manipulated to act as beggars and prostitutes. In some situations, when the parents are still alive and sound, parents subject children to hard labor so that they can get some money, especially step-parents, leaving the children with no time to play and interact with others. According to the report produced by Uganda Youth Development Link, a non-government organization looking after children and youths from the streets, many children on the streets in Kampala are sent by parents or guardians to beg. Parents sit somewhere collecting every coin the children collect. The children who share the experience of child labor commented.
Nze taata wange yafa, mama wange n'abula ssente z'okunteeka mu sini, nange ne nvaayo ne ngenda mu bizinensi eno y'enkoko.
Njagala mu ssente zakwebezaawo kubanga sina zindeezaawo, sina nandabirira.
Nditunda kwebezaawo, bakadde bange baafa, nditunda kwebezaawo nange mberewo.
The State Minister for Youth and Child Affairs in Uganda, Jessica Alupo, says government is committed to protect the vulnerable children's rights with the help of the development partners.
We give them support like schools, like uniforms, through development partners in different districts. Then the reason why we do that is that if you try to call all of them up and say that this is an orphanage for the country of children of HIV/AIDS, why we don't do that is because we think that children growing up in their communities have a belonging. Children growing up in their communities learn their language, learn their culture, and learn so many good virtues from their origin.
However, she decries the irresponsible parents who turn their children into a source of income. Government statistics put the figure of the children under child labor to 1.76 million and age range from 5 to 17 years. Such exorbitant numbers represent only the trapped barefooted children with barely any clothes on their body during the scorching sun, the cold mornings and days for survival. Looking at a vulnerable child subject to labor is a heartbreaking scene. Such children were conceived and sometimes breastfed like any other child. Their mothers undergo labor pains like any other mother. They are soothed with lullabies by their loved ones to give them hope strength, and protection. It is so unbearable that the victims of child labor here in Africa, particularly in Uganda, are abused by the very people who once gave them hope and protection. Nankwanga Yunis Kasirye from Uganda.